Record numbers of Americans have been filing for unemployment, and with so many facing income loss, it's important to get a handle on finances. Here with information about free resources and advice on how to protect your money is financial health leader for Wells Fargo, Darlene Goins. Welcome, Darlene.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You know, many people right now, they're juggling bills because of income loss in the pandemic, and a big issue is trying to figure out how to pay those bills. How do you suggest people navigate this?
This is a really tough time for a lot of people, and for some people, it's the first time that they may have faced unemployment and trying to figure out how to access government benefits. So I always recommend that people start by getting a complete picture of their financial situation. Start by writing down in one place all of the different resources that you can tap into, whether it's savings, credit, equity in your home, 401k. Do the same with your expenses, and then you'll have a better sense for what you're working with.
Well, if someone is feeling uncertain about their current job, maybe they're working but they don't know what the future holds, what tips do you have for making the right money moves?
Well, definitely don't be afraid to reach out for help. There are a lot of resources that are available. One thing is that a lot of cities and nonprofits have set up emergency funds where people that are struggling can actually go and get an emergency cash grant that might be able to tide them over until unemployment benefits kick in or regular paychecks resume. There are also nonprofits that are providing low cost, zero interest, small dollar loans that give you a few months before you have to start paying them back. So that's another way to bridge the gap.
You know, you mentioned savings. There's a lot of people, though, that don't have emergency savings. Should they be thinking about credit right now?
It's risky to think about credit because there are long-term impacts to your credit score if you're unable to pay at least the minimum payment each month. So again, I'd say look at some alternatives before you automatically go to traditional forms of credit like credit cards.
And when we talk about credit, if it is the only option for some people, do you suggest using it in a crisis?
It can be used, but I would recommend, again, writing down. I'm a big proponent of writing everything down. So make a list of all of your credit sources, what the interest rates are, what your limits are, what your balances are. And then if you're going to tap into credit, use those that have the lowest interest rate so that you minimize the amount of interest that you're paying going forward.
Darlene, what other tips can you offer to help folks who are trying to figure out their finances right now?
Well, again, definitely reach out and ask for help if you're struggling. The Wells Fargo Foundation is working with nonprofits across the country to expand access to virtual financial counseling and coaching services. So these are one-on-one sessions, private, confidential, virtual, with certified financial professionals that can look at your financial situation. They can help you build out an emergency plan and budget. They can even help you negotiate with creditors and landlords and start to think about how you can manage through this crisis and into recovery. A great opportunity would be with the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. They have credit counselors that are specialized in figuring out how you work with creditors and manage debt.
And you mentioned the free financial coaching. Are these things open to the public? And what kind of feedback are you getting from people who are taking advantage of it?
Oh, it's definitely open to the public. Anyone can reach out and ask for help. No question is too big or too small. The response has been tremendous because oftentimes it's a scary time. There's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty, and sometimes you just need to look to someone who's a professional for help.
Yeah, you're right. It can be tough to talk about money. You mentioned, the nonprofits that are offering it. Is there somewhere we can go to get all the information about these free services?
Sure. I would recommend going to newsroom.wf.com. We issued a press release yesterday, June 10th, that has all of the detail about all of the different organizations that you can reach out to for that free virtual financial counseling and coaching.
And Darlene, you mentioned some of the stresses and things people are dealing with. Do you just have any advice when it comes to finances for, how can people keep a positive outlook?
Well, I always say take a breath. You are going to get through this. you'd be surprised at how willing people are to work with you. So if you are struggling, reach out to your creditors, banks, utility companies, landlords, ask for help. Usually people are willing to work with you when you're in a crunch.
All right, Darlene Goins with Wells Fargo. Thanks for that advice today.
Thank you.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.